What the latest is, we signed and contracted to do a rematch, and that's what it is right now.
Do you know when it's going to be, when we can hear?
I don't got no date right now, but I know that's the next fight that Terence Crawford.
How long do you think it will be before we have some news about that?
I don't know. It's still up in the air, given the
first male boxer, undisputed, in any division in a 4-belt era, and I honor, that, and if he was to come to me or activate his.
It could happen. Why not? If Crawford want to challenge himself to be great, let him try to be great. So, I'm with it. So, I'll be going for Bud, if he fight Canelo.
The sport is in chaos again. Just when it seemed that Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. had gone their separate ways, talks of a rematch are suddenly back on the table as of April 2025. And this time, they are not just rumors. Negotiations are taking place behind the scenes. Both fighters are discussing it, and tensions are escalating quickly, with Crawford already challenging Spence Jr. Position in boxing here is a catch-up.
Wanted to see that immediately after that fight, but now time has kind of ran its course. I don't want to see Errol. I just don't want to see Errol get done like that. That's all. And I believe Errol Spence is a generational talent. Great.
Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. have never been the type to hold back as talks of a rematch begin to take shape. Their exchanges are growing louder, with both taking shots at each other in interviews on social media, and even during a heated live exchange. Spence, who has been out of the ring since his brutal loss to Crawford in 2023, is more motivated than ever. He is pushing hard for the rematch, claiming that the first fight did not tell the full story, that he was drained at 147 pounds and that the weight cut sapped all his energy. Crawford, on the other hand, is reminding everyone of what happened the last time they fought, how he knocked Spence down 3 times, and how the fight was never close. But Spence refuses to accept that narrative and remains convinced that at 154 pounds everything changes.
Because I don't want to personally, we talking about what we want to see. I don't want to see it. Because I know what it's going to look like. The same as it looked last time.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Errol Spence wasn't the same.
What was wrong with him?
He looked slow. He looked he looked sluggish.
Why?
I can't tell you. I wasn't in camp.
At the division he dominated for his entire career. All of a sudden, when it came time for this fight, he looked different. Why?
I wasn't in camp with him. I can't tell you. I don't know if his body finally broke down from being at 147 for too long.
The entire rematch situation has been a roller coaster since Errol Spence Jr. exercised the rematch clause after their first fight when Terence Crawford defeated him in July 2023. Spence quickly invoked the clause, determined to get another opportunity, but the contract was clear: unless either fighter submitted written notice stating they could not make 147 pounds, the rematch would take place at welterweight. Again, Spence never officially filed that notice, yet he and his team kept insisting the fight should occur at 154 pounds. Crawford refused to agree. He had no reason to give Spence an advantage after defeating him so decisively. This is where the standoff began.
Can't be made, but weight can't be used as an excuse and sort of say, I don't feel like it. Like, I'll go up for this guy, but not another guy. So, that's sort of the spirit. The language is very, more precise and very definitive. But the concept is, out of fairness, is, let's.
Then Errol Spence Jr. health issues slowed everything down. Eye surgery, the recovery, and doubts about whether he could return to form all contributed to the delay. While Spence was dealing with that, Terence Crawford moved on, winning another title at 154 pounds by defeating Israel Madrimov and shutting down any talk of a rematch. When reporters asked him about it, he barely acknowledged the possibility, saying nah and dismissing it completely. At that moment, it seemed like the rivalry was over for good.
Over for good.
Same question, but I want your reaction. Is the Errol Spence rematch on the table still, or?
Nah.
All right, we're gonna wrap there.
I'm trying to tell you.
But now things are changing rapidly. Terence Crawford is no longer closing the door completely. Errol Spence Jr. is increasing the pressure, calling him out at every opportunity. Many fans argue that Spence deserves another shot, that the weight cut truly affected him, and that it was not the real Spence in the ring that night. Others dismiss this as an excuse, saying he was exposed, and that a rematch would play out the same regardless of the weight class.
I believe that the fight would have went that way regardless, because stylistically, the fundamentals on that level, Crawford is just outclasses Errol Spence in every single,
Errol Spence Jr. is making this personal. He is openly accusing Terence Crawford of ducking him, of trying to walk away from the contract, and of acting like the first fight never happened just because Crawford got the upper hand. The response from Crawford, who never allows anyone else to control the narrative, has been sharp. He is telling Spence that he had his chance, that he was dominated, and that he did not even look like he belonged in the ring with him.
47, but I'm sure he probably gonna push the weight up, but there's not gonna be no change in the decision. The performance still is gonna be the same. It might be even a little bit better. So he might want to watch out before he activate their.
And now in real time, both fighters are making it clear that they are ready to go to war again. Errol Spence Jr. remains confident despite everything, claiming that Terence Crawford never fought him at full strength, that he was not himself in the first fight, and that he will prove everyone wrong. Crawford, on the other hand, seems almost amused at the idea that anything will change to him. Spence is always overrated, his style too predictable, and if they step in the ring again, he believes he would beat him even faster the second time. The trash talk is intensifying daily, and with both men finally confirming that negotiations are happening, this fight is looking more real than ever.
Let's go! As you can see, man, breaking news. Errol Spence then activated that rematch clause to fight Terence again, right? Let's be honest, we all saw the fight. Crawford beat boogers out that boy.
However, this trash talk is already creating waves in the sport. Terence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson have always been close, with a bond built on years of respect, mentorship, and shared ambitions. Now their opinions on Errol Spence Jr. legacy are dividing them into opposite corners. Crawford, who never sugarcoats his views, has sparked controversy by openly questioning Spence Jr. Hall of Fame credentials. Meanwhile, Stevenson, one of boxing's brightest young champions, disagrees. The disagreement is fueling heated debates among fans, analysts, and even fighters, with opinions clashing over what truly constitutes a Hall of Fame career.
I mean, that's a good win. I'm still a fan. I hope he do well. But like, once it got to the point where I moved up in weight and I'm in the same weight as Spence, it's just like, oh man, you ain't fighting nobody. You this, you that, you this, you that. So now they trying to blemish my accomplishment just to boost him up. I'm like, dude, you're not gonna do that, because I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't. Everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him. I honestly don't know if he make it to the Hall of Fame with the accolades that he did.
Terence Crawford sparked this controversy during an appearance on the Pound for Pound podcast with Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo. He did not hesitate when the topic of Errol Spence Jr. legacy arose. In his view, Spence Jr. does not make the cut. His reasoning was that Spence Jr. only competed in one division, while he acknowledged Spence Jr. achievements, including unifying 3 welterweight titles and defeating top-tier opponents such as Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, and Yadenis Ugas. Crawford remained firm in his belief that this was not enough to him. A Hall of Famer is someone who conquers multiple weight classes, builds an undeniable resume, and proves their greatness beyond a single division.
Credit one of the best wins on your resume. It starts to make people look at your resume with a question mark.
That statement itself has drawn attention across the boxing community. Terence Crawford did not just critique Errol Spence Jr.'s career, he effectively shut the door on any discussion of his place in boxing history. This prompted fans and experts to push back, with many calling him out for downplaying Spence Jr. achievements. Some viewed it as unnecessary disrespect, while others felt Crawford was simply being honest. The most notable response came not from analysts or former fighters, but from Shakur Stevenson, one of Crawford's closest friends. During an interview with Best Women's Boxing Show, Stevenson quickly disagreed, saying, "I feel as though Errol had a great career. If it wasn't for Bud, he would have been undisputed, so he went and got every belt one by one. I think he is a Hall of Famer." Stevenson's words challenged the narrative Crawford was promoting, offering a perspective that acknowledged Spence Jr. dominance before their fight and what could have been if Crawford had not stood in his.
Terence went on Pound for Pound podcast, and he said that Errol Spence will not be a Hall of Famer. Can you just give me your thoughts on that?
I disagree.
You disagree? Why do you disagree?
I feel as though Errol had a great career. If it wasn't for Bud, he would have been undisputed. So he went and got every belt one by one. I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Shakur Stevenson's stance highlights an ongoing debate in boxing about what defines Hall of Fame greatness. Do achievements across multiple divisions determine legacy, or can a fighter secure their place by dominating a single weight class? Stevenson clearly believes that Errol Spence Jr. dominance at 147 pounds is sufficient. However, Terence Crawford remains firm for him being a unified champion in one division, even with Spence Jr. level of success, does not guarantee immortality.
I don't think Errol's run was long enough, no Diddy, to automatically put him in the Hall of Fame. He was a very good fighter. If there was a Hall of Very Good, he would be going into that. But Hall of Fame, no. If you were in charge of writing the Hall of Fame speech for Errol Spence, and I was in charge of writing a Hall of Fame speech for Bud Crawford, my Hall of Fame speech listing my credentials, listing my accolades for Bud Crawford would sound a lot better than your speech for Errol Spence, bro. Yeah, I don't think unifying and holding 3 titles automatically puts you in the Hall of Fame.
tension between Terence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson may not be a full-blown rift, but it is certainly making waves. Their friendship has always been rooted in mutual respect, yet this is one of the rare occasions they have publicly disagreed on a major issue. Stevenson is not just another fighter sharing an opinion, he has spent years learning from Crawford, training with him, and looking up to him, so for him to openly challenge Crawford's perspective speaks volumes. It also raises questions about how this disagreement could affect their relationship over the long term.
It's up to him. He gave me that opportunity to fight him. It's only right that if that's what he want to do, I'll give it back to him. Outside of him, I was definitely looking for that Jamel Charlo fight, but they just stripped him for the WBO. So now it's going to be kind of hard, becoming a 3-weight world champion if he don't come back and fight Tim Tszyu and be successful after his fight.
Adding fuel to the Fire Hall of Fame discussions are notoriously political, and Errol Spence Jr. case is already creating division within boxing insiders. Some argue that Spence Jr.'s ability to overcome adversity, including surviving a life-threatening car crash, and still defending his titles makes his resume even more Hall of Fame worthy. Others believe that Terence Crawford is setting a risky precedent by dismissing single division champions when many legends built their entire legacies in just one weight class.
Hey, Crawford is a hell of a fighter, but I don't really respect his resume. What? Other than fighting you. Crawford? You know what I'm saying? What?
There is another layer to this debate. Terence Crawford history with Errol Spence Jr. Some believe his comments go beyond Hall of Fame standards and are personal. They argue that Crawford is trying to diminish Spence Jr. legacy because of their rivalry to ensure history remembers him as the superior fighter. If Spence Jr. enters the Hall of Fame, it would require the world to acknowledge that he was an all-time great, even if Crawford defeated him, and Crawford may not be ready to accept that.
Airwaves of YouTube. Let me make a plea right now to Terence Crawford. I understand you just beat him. You beat him thoroughly. You're the undisputed welterweight champion of the world. The WBO, the WBA, the WBC, the IBF titles. But you hugged him after the fight for a reason. I am making a plea to Terence Crawford. Even if you elect to give Errol Spence Jr. a rematch, please do not do this for at least a year. Please don't.
Meanwhile, Errol Spence Jr. has not responded publicly to Terence Crawford comments, but it is safe to assume he is not pleased. He has always taken pride in his boxing accomplishments, and being so easily dismissed by Crawford is fueling his competitive drive. There are even discussions that Spence Jr. may use this as extra motivation for a potential rematch, aiming to prove that he is not just a great fighter but an all-time great worthy of the Hall of Fame, regardless of what Crawford says.
I think he's the bigger, stronger fighter, but Errol methodically marches down and breaks you down. I don't know if that can be done to Crawford. I think that Crawford is a marvelous boxer. I think he's got the temperament of a champion that really wants to do damage and be spectacular. He can fight conventional, he can go southpaw. He brought the power with him, and I think the biggest thing is that Errol Spence might have gave him a little bit too.
The debate shows no signs of dying down. Fans, fighters, and analysts are taking sides. Is Terence Crawford stating facts or allowing his rivalry with Errol Spence Jr. to cloud his judgment? Is Shakur Stevenson right to defend Spence Jr., or is he simply being diplomatic? The boxing world is watching as the back and forth continues. One thing is clear, this is not just about a Hall of Fame induction, it is about legacy, pride, and the ongoing battle for respect in one of the most unforgiving sports in the world.
I support y'all fighter. Let's come together, make this event a success. Instead of everybody saying every time we get together, it's always shooting and violence. Everybody know Team Crawford. Y'all know I get active.
But if anyone's
Hall of Fame status should be questioned, it is not Errol Spence Jr., it is Terence Crawford. Forget the smoke and mirrors, forget the carefully crafted legacy narratives from his camp. The truth is clear, Crawford is not chasing history, he is chasing checks, and that is why fans, fighters, and critics alike are starting to question whether his name truly belongs in the Boxing Hall of Fame.
This is what I think about resumes, and especially when it comes to these two fighters specifically, because they got a lot of the common opponents.
Yes.
But the day that they fought these opponents is what's uncommon. And so you can pick who you want to pick, and I fought him and he had I broke both eyes, and then you fought all this and that. Bottom line is, a lot of fighters aren't who they are on Tuesday. They're not that same fighter on Saturday.
Terence Crawford-owned trainer Brian McIntyre is promoting the same tired argument, trying to convince everyone that the Canelo-Alvarez fight is not about money. But who are they trying to fool? Crawford is moving up 2 divisions to face one of boxing's biggest cash cows, not for career progression, but because the Saudi money is too tempting. If Crawford's legacy were truly his priority, he would be solidifying his dominance at 154 pounds, proving himself against top fighters in that division and perhaps unifying again. Instead, he barely got past Israel Madrimov after that fight. It was obvious that Crawford was never going to dominate 154 pounds the way he did at 147.
For 154, because this is the legacy fight. He wants this for his legacy. Now, if you ask me, I think Terence Crawford's taking it to the stupid. He's not going up there for no damn legacy fight. You know what? He's going after Canelo for the reason that he said after he fought Madrimov and after he fought Errol Spence. He wants the most money possible. Simple. He's not trying to move down the ladder and...
The younger, hungrier fighters were waiting, and instead of facing them head-on, Terence Crawford chose an escape route, chasing the biggest payday boxing has to offer. Consider the Israel Madrimov fight. Fans saw what happened. It was not the destruction Crawford delivered against Errol Spence Jr., nor a highlight reel masterclass. It was a war of fight that easily could have been a draw, and that was against a fighter who, while talented, is not the king of the division. If Crawford struggled there, what business does he have moving up to 168 pounds to face a seasoned champion like Canelo Alvarez?
Champion like Canelo.
Old videos are starting to surface of Terence Bud Crawford saying he'd never go over 154 pounds and weight classes are there for a reason. And so a lot of people are questioning, why is he willing to move up to 168 for Canelo all of a sudden? He's going against his own word. It's a money grab.
But that is the point. Terence Crawford does not care about earning his way up the weight classes or taking on the real challenges in those divisions. He is chasing the biggest name, the biggest fight, and the biggest payday. And when the Canelo Alvarez fight concludes, does anyone really think he will stay at super middleweight? Of course not. He will take his money, take his loss, which is likely, and then plan his next move. That is not a Hall of Fame mindset. That is a cash grab.
Still, he want 200 million for Benavidez, and he want 150 million to fight me. So that just lets me know right there that I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to him.
And this is not the first time Terence Crawford has taken the easy road to the bank. For years, people questioned his resume. At 147 pounds, they asked why he was not facing the best names sooner and why he stayed under the top rank banner for so long when the biggest fights were happening elsewhere. Now, when he finally had the opportunity to prove himself at 154 pounds, he did not stay long enough to achieve anything meaningful. This is the same Crawford who claims Errol Spence Jr. is not Hall of Fame material because he only dominated one division. The same Spence Jr. who defeated the best of the best at 147 pounds, unified titles the hard way, and remained undefeated until facing Crawford. Meanwhile, Crawford ran through an average welterweight division, barely survived at 154 pounds, and is now skipping the real challenges at 160 and 168 pounds just to cash out against Canelo Alvarez.
What Bud said, weight classes for a reason. But then Bud and his team heard the TBV show. Then it's like, yo, you know what? Bud, we could throw the towel in. We gonna shimmy all the way to the bank. We gonna drop this 9 figures in the bank. We got you. Do we believe we could beat them? Yeah. What other opportunity in life are you gonna get to...
Sure, if Terence Crawford beats Canelo Alvarez, people will call him one of the greatest ever. That is the gamble. But if he loses, and realistically the odds are against him, it only proves the point further. Crawford took this fight for the money, not because it made sense for his career. That is why when discussing Hall of Fame legacies, Crawford name deserves more scrutiny than Errol Spence Jr. Spence did things the right way. He fought his way to the top belt by belt without skipping the line. Crawford is playing the game differently. It is not about belts, divisions, or legacy. It is about cashing out while he still can.
The notion that Terence Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's entirely too soon.
It's disrespectful for Crawford to call you out at 68, say that he can beat you at this weight.
No, you know, everybody wants to fight with me, so it's fine.
And maybe that is fine. Maybe Terence Crawford deserves to get paid. He has put in years of work, built an undefeated record, and now wants to maximize his earnings. But this is not about anything other than money, and that kind of career path does not automatically earn a Hall of Fame spot, because if anyone's place should be questioned, it is not Errol Spence Jr., it is Crawford. What do you think about the whole saga? Share your thoughts below.